Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane. And today I have for you a 1 vs 1 on Semois. Yes, indeed, in the darkness of Semois, we shall be watching someone fight. And who shall be fighting? Well, in the northern corner, we are going to be seeing Nosensei of the Americans, of the 4th Infantry Division, and they're going up against him shall be Blackberryuser, also I believe known as Marines somewhere, but you know, neither of them have actually submitted. But again, I'm getting a lot of players, asking me, to use games from GameReplays.org. So yes, I finally caved in, and there we go. Now I'm going to be sort of picking up games from there as well, I imagine. Let's hope I don't actually end up emptying it for everybody else, though, who actually uses the same spot for fetching replays. Of course, I'll still, be accepting replays being sent in, certainly, and I might be able to do something slightly different, I suppose, with them as well. Or might, attempt. And of course, I've also sort of been noting I've not a lot of. I've got over 1,600 subscribers. That's great, but usually on Semois Cast I only get about 800 to actually view it. So of course, I'm a bit wondering. In particular, the Monday Novice fights get a lot less viewers in general. So I'm sort of a bit curious. Is there something people want to see instead? Feel free to sort of try and get your desires and wishes across. I'll of course try to sort of work with it. In particular, that's what I'm trying now with the Panzer Elite fight. Fighting for the 17th SS. In fact, let's get right down to it. Let's not talk anymore, but again, if there's something you'd like to see, ask. And of course, if you're now seeing a sort of replay on Game Replays, you thought, well, that would be fun if he casted that, send it in, let me know. I'll try and get around to it. Hopefully this should, of course, also sort of give me a bit better mix, and of course some more high-ranking players games, which of course is what some people want. In fact, what a lot of people want. So there we go. We are seeing a dual Panzergrenadiers start out from Blackberryuser. He who uses the Blackberry, which is some sort of electronic device. Either that, or he's just very fond of blackberries. If that's actually a berry in English. Either way, we are seeing some engineers, and we are seeing a dual engineer start from Nosensei. He's not having any nonsense with 4 engineers, or 3 engineers, or 1 engineer. He's going for the usual 2 engineer start. Probably some riflemen on the way. Kettenkrad heading towards east swiftly. Panzergrenadiers heading up towards the center. So far, the usual stuff. Nothing highly unusual as of yet. We'll probably be seeing a 3rd Panzergrenadier team up soon, perhaps even a 4th. There's plenty of good options. Engineers heading out on the west, continuing. Interestingly enough, wait, there we go, the riflemen ready to head down towards the center. Again, the center is sort of where most of the fighting does tend to happen, that's a general rule of thumb, shortest point between the 2 bases, that's where most of the fighting tends to take place. It's sort of obvious, I suppose. Some parts of maps generally tend to get very little fighting. Some other parts again tend to get a lot of fighting. Sometimes, beyond that beaten path, shortest spot. Sometimes it's just because it creates the illusion of being a very tiresome place to fight. And others, this is a great place to fight, and then everybody fights there for some reason. Panzergrenadiers though marching up here, riflemen down southwards, catching the Kettenkrad. 3rd Panzergrenadier team ready. Rifleman opening up on the Kettenkrad. The Kettenkrad is in fact in quite a bit of trouble here. And there we go, see snatching away the fuel from the Panzer Elite forces. Panzergrenadiers standing about a bit, using them to capture a lot of territory. I'm not entirely sure that was what I'd recommend. In fact, we've seen that the enemy's over there. Usually the best trick is sort of then to engage the opponent with your Panzergrenadiers early on, since of course Panzergrenadiers do tend to have a slight favorability right in the beginning in terms of being able to fight, being almost as good as Grenadiers, and Grenadiers tend to be pretty damn good infantry. And now the Kettenkrad is in a lot of trouble. Engineers sort of running in front of it, shooting it down. Keep on the way as well. Engine damaged. Engineers breaking through in the north. Blackberryuser is of course now forced to react, having lost his Kettenkrad. That's going to be a bit of a blow. Another Kettenkrad on the way. Some more Panzergrenadiers, but that's not really the best beginning he's having there. And oh dear, he's reacting a bit too much, Nosensei really able to keep up the pressure. Some Panzergrenadiers moving in to deal with these engineers who are, misclick right there. But at the same time, the more his Panzergrenadiers are running about to point A, to point B, to point C, the less they're actually also doing fighting or anything else reasonable. So of course it's a very important detail to remember, and more riflemen are arriving. Jeep now standing about here. Nosensei really keeping up the pressure on poor Blackberryuser. These Panzergrenadiers are now trying to secure some resources in the center. Jeep moves in from the flank. Rifleman taking up position there without actually doing much. Could be waiting for the chaps to join in. And we are seeing some engineers sneaking in here for a bit of harassment on the fuel point. Very bold, very aggressive. Not a bad idea at all. But again, you know, trying to primarily use your Panzergrenadiers for taking territory. I mean, I rather recommend actually trying to go for this cut-off point and then of course trying to fight the Americans that way, but it's a bit too late now. Nosensei is having none of that nonsense, and pushing his troops in. Panzergrenadiers facing off against the Rifleman. Jeep flanking in, Rifleman down though. Not looking good at all, trying to push around with the Jeep as well, but it's not doing too well either. 2 men down for the Panzergrenadiers, further Rifleman arriving. The other chap's not there to support either. Not looking well for Blackberryuser at all here in the beginning. Further Rifleman though taking heavy losses. But now the second wave arrives and the Panzergrenadiers in fact end up being forced away. Looks like though they will be able to survive this mess. The Panzergrenadiers quickly retreat into the church. And then rather realize they can't actually fight from there. Thus proceeding to roll into a huge retreat. Flamethrower engineers certainly not making the church a much more desirable place to actually be hiding. Currently, Nosensei is rather enjoying most of the map. Also, a rather nasty fuel delay there. And there we go, immediately going for the Kampfgruppe company for Blackberryuser. And of course, we've actually not seen a lot of infantry for Nosensei, although he might be going for a third there. So far, only 3 infantry units and a Jeep. And again, going for the points, cutting off the vital ones, denying the Panzer Elite some precious munitions. Not really good at all. Kampfgruppe company is up. What will we be seeing for Blackberryuser? In fact, we will be seeing a infantry half-track. I mean, certainly not a bad idea to get, although usually I prefer to get it after I got the 3rd Panzergrenadier team out, thus giving me the infantry half-track a bit early on, and thus being able to give me a bit of early push. And mines going down for Nosensei. That is good. That is great. That is certainly not nonsense. And yes, I'll stop with that pun now. For those that actually get it and are actually cringing. For the larger push from Blackberryuser, Panzergrenadiers marching out. Slight unfortunate tendency right there, Rifleman. Oh, not in cover, not in cover again. Remember, cover is king. In company of heroes. And looks like the Panzergrenadiers are rather amassing a large charge across open ground, firing away. And getting off some good shots against those Riflemen who are also moving about, since they rather don't fancy getting charged either. Infantry half-track is ready. Mortar half-track on the way for Blackberryuser. I'm not entirely sure that's a good idea actually, as that could give Nosensei the advantage in terms of getting an armoured car out, and he's going to not be able to rather get something to stop it because he spent most of his resources on a mortar half-track. Rifleman out in the open though. Kittencrat in problems. There we go. Infantry half-track Panzergrenadiers now really doing the damage. Of course, might want to consider getting one team up in the half-track to really get the advantage, as that rather helps quite a bit. Engineers left behind. Half-track charges ahead. Mortar half-track is ready. Supply ad go. No, he's already gotten it up, and in fact going straight for the motor pool. Small push going on here. Infantry half-track with Panzergrenadiers in tow. Pushing onwards. Jeep sort of tumbling away. Damaged engine. This could be the end for it. Still no attempt at really pushing up some Panzergrenadiers into that half-track to really get some advantage out of that. And there we go. Full retreat for the Americans. They have been forced away. Kittencrat going in for a bit of harassment, but oh dear, it's coming under heavy fire. Needs to get out of there. Blackberryuser getting a bit too over-eager. Mortar half-track on the way as well. And the Jeep finally goes out of control. We do see the motor pool is flashing. We'll probably be seeing an armoured car very soon. And Rifleman stopping right in front of the mortar half-track. That's not the best idea. There we go. That's the reason. Mortars can do quite a bit of damage. 3 men down, the rest on the run. So 4 Rifleman tamed. He's certainly bleeding a bit, but he's certainly not bleeding as much as Blackberryuser, who's actually been bleeding quite a bit. Lost a few Kittencrats. And some Panzergrenadiers now getting some tank busters. He's definitely going to be needing them, since he doesn't have anything else that could stop it. And of course, personally, I don't prefer using tank busters as sort of this thing to stop an armoured car, since they do tend to miss quite a bit. I usually prefer the anti-tank half-track, since that's actually having a much more effective chance of actually stopping something like an armored car. And that's also pretty much why a lot of players do prefer, again, also to use the anti-tank half-track rather than the Panzergrenadier. The Panzergrenadier just doesn't quite cut it against armored cars. Against tanks, it's great, but armored cars, it can get a bit too uncertain. And there we go. Blackberryuser is quite exposed. Panzergrenadiers need to get out of there. Panzergrenadier ready for some of them. Tank busters moving up as well. So that's 2 Panzergrenadiers. So far not really hitting anything. Mine goes off. And dual Panzergrenadiers in the building. One actually connects. Second one blows up some random statue stuff. Or a pillar. Riflemen are charging ahead, but they're actually coming under quite a bit of fire. And we are seeing an assault moving in from the north. If only they had grenades, they could clear it out quite swiftly. Armored car taking quite a few hits from the Panzergrenadiers, but it's not quite managing to knock it out. Also, fun fact, but Panzer Elite Panzergrenadiers actually do less damage than a Wehrmacht Panzergrenadier. Mortar half-track goes out, oh dear, and the armored car simply also rushing about. And again, that will also be another reason why, you know, the Panzer Elite Panzergrenadier just doesn't quite cut it. But then again, if it did as much, you'd probably also see a lot more of it. So it's a sort of a balancing act. But against armored cars, the Panzergrenadier just doesn't quite cut it, in my opinion. We are now seeing a Panzer support coming up. In fact, let's go look at Nosensei, who has gone for armor doctrine. That's quite interesting. Wonder what he wants to do with that. Besides speeding up production of his armored cars. Armored car on the run. Panzergrenadiers and tank busters moving about in their lovely uniforms, again thanks to Super Duper Dude's skin pack, which again you can find on the front page of my channel under details. Oh, knocked out. Oh no.
We're losing ground.
And that's not good either. Armored car doing terrible damage. Panzergun is going down. And on the run. Oh dear. Now actually looks like he's been turning in the infantry half-tank into a sort of impromptu tank hunter vehicle. Lots of Panzergrenadiers in that. Well, as many as possible. Will he be able to get the dreaded armored car, or will he have not quite as much luck with that? No, both rockets missed. That was quite incredible. Armored car's now on the hunt. And, oh dear, this is not looking good at all. Anti-tank half-tank is nearby. And the infantry half-tank taking quite a lot of damage. There we go, infantry half-tank down. Both veterans we want. Oh dear, needs to get out there. This is not looking good. Relying a bit too much on Panzergrenadiers. I mean, a better recommendation might actually have been to go for tank destroy and lay down Teller mines. That way you might have actually had a better chance of actually knocking something out, I think. Panzergrenadiers hunted down. Anti-tank half-track is ready, but of course now there's a lot of riflemen, and those armored cars are still there. It's placing Blackberryuser in a slightly prickly situation, as his 17th SS Panzergrenadiers are running into a lot of trouble, while the 4th Infantry Division is enjoying quite a nice snack. But still, it's a bit back and forth. I mean, sort of managed some nice tricks either side, but Blackberryuser is, you know, constantly a bit behind there in terms of anti-tank. He's not quite having any luck in really doing some damage to these M8s, which are actually doing some nasty damage. 4 Panzergrenadiers each and 1 half-track each. That's not exactly small things. And interestingly enough, I don't think he's actually trying to use focused fire on his anti-tank half-track. I mean, really, I would definitely recommend, if you have an anti-tank half-track, to use focused fire. I mean, it can really help getting some infantry killed and do some extra damage. And of course, now we are seeing BARs up for Nosensei's infantry's rifle are really now nasty, and it's also going to make it harder for Blackberry's Panzergrenadiers to really make an attack, because again, the BAR, besides, you know, being a nice assault weapon, of course, it's also a great assault weapon, since it is a light machine gun, which, unlike most other light machine guns in the game, can actually hit a moving target. Plus, they get 2 of them, so it's quite able to really do a lot more in stopping attackers. Panzergrenadiers are advancing, and lots of fire being directed against them from the armored car with its 50 caliber. from the riflemen with the BARs, who are slowly gaining veterancy as the Panzergrenadiers go down. Their assault is not really going down. I do believe we're actually seeing some focused fire. Panzergrenadiers on the armored car. Oh dear, tank buster team went down. No, yes, that was actually the tank busters. Slow retreat on the riflemen, and that was actually the armored car almost down, getting repaired though. Will they be able to get it? Will they get it? Engineers were killed while repairing. And there we go, armored car down. Fallschirmjägers popping out. This engagement though was quite bloody on both sides. Lots of riflemen dying, lots of Panzergrenadiers, engineers, and even an armored car went down. But Fallschirmjägers from the 3rd Fallschirmjäger Regiment was able to turn the tide for the 17th. Though they certainly took some bloody losses as well. In particular losing a tank buster team, which would actually have been 360 manpower. That's not exactly small change. And then Nosensei goes and so of course says, I wouldn't call this a good engagement. Well, from his point of view, it wasn't certainly the best one. He bled a lot there as well. Oh, you've just been so lucky up till that point. Well, there's luck, and then there's just making bad choices. And of course, luck is partly also, you know, being able to sort of really exploit giving a chance. I mean, that's one of these sort of funny things about luck. It's not so much that, oh right, random actually favored me. It's more, I saw an opportunity and I was actually able to use it. That's to a larger extent what luck is about. Fallschirmjäger holding up positions right here. Engineers trying to do a bit, and there we go, one engineer down. Fallschirmjägers also only being one of the best infantry units in the game. They're not quite as tough in most other infantry units, but in terms of being able to do damage, they are quite incredible. In particular, once you give them the FG-42, they really become some very vicious bastards. There we go, rifleman assault moving in. Panzergrenadiers out in the open without support. Light anti-tank half-track moving out. And yes, indeed, it looks, and we are seeing field repairs. He's actually going for the Pershing. Nosensei is wanting a Pershing. Slight retreat there towards slightly better positions. That's not a bad idea. And perhaps some suppressive fire from the Gewehr 43s would help to at least stop one of those rifleman teams. Although they are taking some losses. Oh my goodness, 3, 4. Oh dear, he's really putting up quite a bit of damage there. Now it's Nosensei's time to actually pull back a bit. As the light anti-tank half-track actually ends up functioning a bit like a light assault gun. Knocking out any slightly hardened targets. Heavy losses for the riflemen. And more moving in from the flank though, and engineers. And this of course will require a swift reaction from Blackberryuser list. He actually wants to take heavy losses. Oh dear, he doesn't seem to be reacting. Only leaving one Fallschirmjäger team to hold. And trying to knock out that armored car, moving in his Panzergrenadiers with Panzerschrecks. Others trying to hold the flank. Some Gewehr, some BAR secured. Fallschirmjägers running around right in front of all this. Veterancy 2 for the M8. Panzerschreck team went down. That was not good at all. More Panzergrenadiers forced to retreat. Heavy losses. One rifleman. I'm not entirely sure why all those chaps are retreating. Might have something to do with all those other Panzergrenadiers arriving. And we are seeing field repairs. And the anti-tank half-track gets, oh, much too close. It has a tendency of doing that, I'm afraid. Never fun, that. But Panzergrenadiers are moving up to repair that, while engineers and field repairs ensures that the armored car is repaired. And another one is arriving. This is not going to be an engagement the anti-tank half-track can win. Not at all. There we go, anti-tank half-track down. Another tank buster team coming out for Blackberryuser. He's really suffering quite a lot in his tank buster infantry. I mean, the chaps who are supposed to actually knock out the tanks, he's not really having good luck in keeping those chaps alive or good anything. Armor car moving in and laying down a Greyhound mine. Cheeky that. Cheeky. But certainly also Nosensei really having the better luck in keeping his troops alive, which is rather where Blackberryuser is suffering the most problems. Really, that's generally unit preservation, which is certainly not doing him any favors at all. And of course, question is, will he be considering getting another anti-tank half-track? Which he rather might be needing. Will he be going for something else? Seemed to have a slight hiccup, and there we go, once more going for the cut-off point. Heading towards the centre, perhaps hoping to set up a last stand there. Panzer taking up position in the church, and that actually works, since, well, you know, only need one window for that to work. And, yeah, Panzer almost went down to that Greyhound mine. Greyhounds quickly exploit that, hoping to catch some Panzergrenadiers on their own, but no luck. Instead, they run into a Panzerschreck. Now we go, riflemen moving in. Getting gunned down by the Fallschirmjägers, firing from the cemetery, hoping it won't be their cemetery. Panzergrenadiers marching in, some with BR, some Gewehr 43s. And there we go, flamethrowers to oust out the tank busters from the building. That's only going to help Mr. Nosensei his quest. And the Fallschirmjägers again, really doing terrible damage to the riflemen. And of course, he could get off a Panzerfaust with them. And I do believe it's actually time for the mid-game analysis. Counter-attrition, not so good for the 17th. Despite the aid of Fallschirmjägers, they suffered 2 heavy losses in their tank buster department and their anti-tank half-track units, which is rather allowing these Greyhounds to really do some terrible things, although now they're getting a bit too close. And of course, a Panzerfaust from these chaps might finish off. I think, though, it would have been better had he gone for the tank destroyer doctrine and gotten some Teller mines, in particular now that we actually know that he's going for the Pershing. Of course, Mr. Blackberryuser, aka Marines, doesn't quite know that. I'm sure he will find out soon enough. And that's probably why he's basically just keeping the pressure up, not going for anything else. He's wanting the Pershing, and that's certainly not a bad idea. The trouble is, of course, ensuring that he can keep up with that, and of course that means, you know, minimizing losses, not bleeding too heavily, and of course keeping Blackberryuser a bit contained, and of course ensuring he doesn't get anything too heavy. So let's return to the fight. M8s are a bit caught up in the center. Tank busters getting off some Panzerschrecks. Apparently these chaps have also been equipped with a BAR. Looks like one M8 could in fact be going down. Apparently not. Panzerschrecks miss. Quite fortunate for the armoured cars. Rifle moving up here, once more going for the fuel point to cut off Blackberryuser again. Nice to see this sort of harassment. Although I'm pretty sure Blackberryuser is not quite sharing that opinion. He's probably a bit more upset, which is quite understandable enough. Trias ending up to really help again with the long fight. And what are we seeing now? Grenades. And slowing down them with a bit of suppressive volleys from the Panzergrenadiers, then charging in. And there we go, the riflemen are certainly losing this fight. Oh, well, they are suppressing the Panzergrenadiers themselves, who are now pinned down. Fallschirmjägers are nearby to actually provide assistance.
Repairs complete, sir. Tally-ho, we're good to go.
So it looks like they will be marching in to aid, while the riflemen actually get out of there. But rather spread out positions of Mr. Blackberryuser. He's not really handling this quite as well in the long run, I think. Riflemen pulling out. Fallschirmjägers moving out. And the center is quite vulnerable. It looks like the Fallschirmjägers are getting off some good shots with offensive infantry. Of course, they become even more accurate, which of course is quite nice when you have the FG-42. So a small engagement right here from cover, and some even getting off some ambush shots, which are only much more nasty. M8s though moving in, and the Fallschirmjägers will have a bit of a problem with that. We are seeing Marder Fries getting research. He's probably hoping for that. He might in fact be sort of expecting some sort of armor to happen soon. I just hope for the M8 supported by Panzergrenadiers can knock out the armored cars. Which is not a bad assumption, but those Fallschirmjägers need to get out of there. There we go. Panzergrenadiers sneaking up.
Jawohl, Herr Kommandant!
And of course now the Americans are then moving towards the center, rather ignoring this larger effort from Blackberryuser, again sort of keeping him guessing, keeping him moving. Although it looks like Blackberryuser is going straight for the Panther battle group. He's deciding to sort of say, sort that, I want some Panthers, let's get those damn Yankees. That's certainly not a bad idea either, although of course again it's only going to be sitting a bit back in terms of resources. We can't suffer too much until then, of course, and certainly could mean that Nosensei gets some sort of advantage. But a main push from here in the south, not going through the center of town anymore. Mines being laid down by Nosensei, again we like to see that. M8's moving in to react. Panzer 6 ready to cover, and there we go. M8's taking some damage, although the one with the offensive veteran is definitely going to be the more accurate, more useful one. And another charge from the center. Jägers and Panzergrenadiers. Has to be careful with the mines though. More veterancy for the armored cars. Rather than getting suppressed and gunned down, quite frankly. Panzergrenadiers need to retreat before the M8s get them, and just barely making it. Looks like these other chaps are moving away from this area. A bit interesting. And mine sets off. My goodness, he's really mined the center of town. Not entirely sure why he's rushing in. Those Panzergrenadiers, they're just going to get killed. Blackberryuser, be careful. And the Jägers ended up being run off as well.
We have destroyed an enemy unit.
Now anti-tank guns getting ready.
Losing a sector.
That's certainly going to be helpful against any sort of Panther rush, and of course that might of course be what he's expecting. I mean, a lot of Panzer Elite players do like to go for the Panther battle group, so I mean it's not completely unreasonable to imagine that, you know, one might go for it. Oh dear, that was less good. Panzer X just not really having any luck in hitting, and of course now really forced to reinforce and build stuff, which again is going to put off the Panther battle group from arriving, which again is not really going to be a disadvantage. I mean, if you're going to go for the Panther battle group, you know, don't bother with anything else, just get those Panthers out and beat those Yankees. At least that would be my opinion. He also has the Panzer command. He could be going for some assault rifles for some of his Panzergrenadiers. That might help against those riflemen. But we're not seeing that either. Small push. Mr. Nosensei probably preparing with more mines. Oh, apparently not. So all a bit quiet for the moment, as both players sort of ponder out what they can do. And clearly Blackberryuser is not wanting to go too far. He wants that Panther battle group. And Nosensei is basically just waiting until he can get that Pershing and show the Panzer Elite the error of their ways. Essentially, and there we go. I do believe, yes indeed, the Pershing has arrived. The 17th is in trouble, unless of course at the more or less the same time the Panthers arrive themselves. Jäger's getting charged. Panzer is not there to support. Panthers rushing in with nothing to really support them though. All the infantry support in fact has just vanished. Anti-tank gun sneaking up. Pershing in fact not charging in. He might be wanting to keep that as a surprise, wanting to lure in the Panthers. And there we go, Panthers rushing ahead right into anti-tank gun fire. Rifleman going for the fuel point, but taking heavy damage from the Panzergrenadiers. Panthers getting blocked by the armored cars, getting hit with armor piercing rounds. Pershing not moving in still. He's really keeping it cool there. But those Panthers need to get out of there. And the second armor car still blocking, hoping to give the anti-tank gun more time. And there we go, Pershing moving in. Panther needs to get out of there. Sticky bomb on the Panther. Oh dear, that's the end of that one. Destroyed engine. M8 actually goes down. Those pesky M8s are finally dead, but now there's something worse. There's a Pershing on the field. And he's still not trying to salvage that other Panther. That's... oh dear. Not going to end well, I fear. Although a Henscher Panzergrenadier run is being called in. That's going to do some damage to the Pershing. Light enough. Trouble is, again, you need to remember you have to have line of sight, and currently he doesn't have that. So now it's actually not really going to be able to do much. He should have waited until the sort of main push with his infantry, perhaps, and then sort of tried to catch it in the middle of everything. Sadly, that did not happen. So actually, that's 200 munitions wasted, which could have been used better, I think. So that was quite tragic, to put it mildly. And Blackberryuser is obviously a bit worried. He's now getting a Bergtiger actually to sort of try and salvage his Panthers. And certainly they are both there, but of course, who knows, perhaps Nosensei is expecting that. All he needs to do is basically wreck those Panther wrecks. And yes, indeed, he's doing it. He is expecting his opponents to go for the Bergtiger and try to salvage his Panthers. He's actually thinking ahead. And of course, just as soon as he sees, oh wait, he's shooting at my wrecks, he rather realizes it's perhaps a bit too late for the Bergtiger.
We are at 300 points.
Grenade on the Fallschirmjägers. Only one dies though. And trying to lure out the Panzergrenadiers in the church with a grenade at the front door, but he doesn't bite it. Blackberryuser does not rush out. Rifleman getting a bit hit. Panzer 6 against the Pershing, actually doing some damage. And actually hitting. So that's certainly slightly advantageous for Mr. Blackberryuser. Well, that seems to be about it. Fallschirmjäger getting charged. They need to get out of there. And looks like he's hoping for another off-map combat group. Mr. Blackberryuser. Well, Panther battle group, of course, but you know, same concept in a sense. Lots of manpower, you get some units from off the map. And let us return to our friend Nosensei. All a bit quiet. Both players sort of pondering, and it's certainly Blackberryuser who's slightly off in this case, having suffered quite a lot. And there we go, second Panther battle group arrives. Person getting pulled back for repairs. Veterancy 2 though has taken quite a bit of damage from those Panzer Shreks. That's about it though. Panzergrenadiers reinforcing. Panthers waiting for infantry support, I hope. And no, they don't. Yeah. That's only going to end in tears, I fear. Although looks like Blackberryuser is moving up his infantry now. Rifleman taking quite a few losses to the Panthers. But no Panzer Shreks to actually support the Pershings. That is less fortunate on the other hand. And there we go. Battle going on. Rifleman charging. Well, Panzer charging towards the town centre. And slightly few more points actually being opened on the church now, thanks to walls being blown open to allow for it. Slight feature actually, in some cases, blowing holes in the wall can actually allow more troops to fire out of a building, although not always. Now Riflemen being caught out in the open. Panthers moving in, grenades getting lobbed. Bit too low.
Losing ground out there.
Pershing moving in, crashing through the bocage. And we're seeing Shermans. He's actually gotten Shermans and he's upgunned them, meaning of course increased penetration. Anti-tank guns moving in. Ooh, this is going to be the big one. This is going to be the finale. And of course the 17th has received some Panthers from the Panther lair, I imagine, to fight this fight. as the 17th SS actually didn't really have any panzers. It had some Sturmgeschütz. That was it. A bit of courses at both sides, but now looks like Nosensei is making the push. Infantry pulling back, Panthers really being the nucleus of what remains of Blackberryuser's forces. Sherman Pershing anti-tank guns moving up. And now it looks like it might be that Blackberryuser slightly pushing back. And there we go, armor-piercing rounds. Panthers taking heavy damage from the anti-tank guns.
Losing a point.
And field no, that's actually just engineers repairing. Just happened so quickly to see. Thought it was field repairs. Panthers trying to flank about. Sherman's moving in. Riflemen also, and the Pershings basically just calling off the retreat route for the Panthers. Oh no. And there we go, heavy damage to the Panthers as the Pershing moves in. Charging ahead. Panzergrenadiers basically just sort of ringing off the Pershing's armor. Panther down, veterancy free for the Pershing. That's 3 Panthers so far. Second Panther also taking heavy damage. Panzergrenadiers taking heavy losses as they're desperately trying to knock out that Pershing. More Panzergrenadiers arriving, but barely any health left, barely any men. And the Pershing just sort of shrugs off the last Panzergrenadier rockets. Panther charges in a desperate bid to knock it out, but there's a Sherman in the way, fully repaired. Oh, that Sherman doesn't seem to quite have the luck as of yet. Sticky bomb on the Panther though. Riflemen taking losses, and a Sherman moves in from the flanking area, and oh dear, I think that Sticky bomb finished off that final Panther. GG, can't beat your luck. Well, I wouldn't again call it luck, perhaps slightly bad strategy and a slightly sort of wrong sense of where things should have been going. Again, I'd recommended having gone for tank destroyer much earlier, in particular since he was and not relying so much on Panzergrenadiers. It was basically that, some unfortunate decisions right there, which in the long run lost him the game to Nosensei going for the Pershings. So I mean, we can learn a few things. I mean, armor cars can really do some nasty work. Don't stand in front of mortars. I mean, infantry outflanks again sort of helped him, but again, I mean, if you're expecting your mates, go for the anti-tank half-deck. Don't try to rely on Panzergrenadiers on doing most of the work for you. It's not really going to help. I can tell you that from very personal experience. Which is basically why I always pretty much go first for the anti-tank half-deck. Then I might consider getting some Panzergrenadiers. So, of course, little detail there. And, of course, I do hope you enjoyed this game. If you did, why not subscribe and tell your friends? And if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own? This is Imperial Dane saying cheers. And, of course, feel free to provide constructive criticism at any time.